All right. So essentially, we've had the luxury of looking at POVs. We've had the luxury of looking at Sojourns. We've had the luxury of looking at Kiriko. We've had the luxury of looking at Winston play. This will be the last Overwatch League POV that we do until next season. So we had the luxury of looking at a lot of different things ahead of time. So we can kind of already anticipate things that Chiyo is going to be trying to do. I anticipate that Chiyo is going to be trying to probably deny the enemy Winston Reaper on the neutral engages to enable his team to win that neutral engage. In other words, if my Winston Reaper takes space, but I boot that Reaper back, that means that my Reaper does more damage on the Winston, which means we get space off of the engage, which means that we can win the engage. The other thing that Chiyo was saying in his self-VOD review, which I think was worth pointing out, because it's probably not something that I've brought up enough, was about how Lucio in this composition's really goal is just to not flip and die to crap. If you can stay alive and get consistent pressure, that's great. But there's not a lot of pop-off, super aggressive, hyper-aggressive, super important moments that you need to be making. It's just to not feed and make sure that you have your speed engage or whatever available at the time. There's a lot of discussion about beat power. I agree that beat is probably the second worst ultimate in this composition, next to probably either primal or overclock, depending on the situation. But it's not the most powerful ultimate. It's really hard to deal with sometimes. It's certainly not as powerful as Kitsune. So all what we're going to be seeing from Fuel is Winston Reaper taking a neutral trade. Chiyo is probably going to be trying to deny Prophet, who I assume is on Reaper, from getting good damage. And then he's going to be trying to not die himself. If Chiyo can keep himself alive while denying the enemy Winston Reaper, that's going to be helpful a lot. The other thing as well we talked about with Dallas, and this is not just a Dallas thing, this is a lot of teams who are doing this, is trying to not use too much heals in the first neutrals so that the first team to get Kiriko Ultimate can be my team, because Kiriko Ultimate is so impactful, it's so important to understand that. Okay. All right, let's try. Let's see what we got. So speed. A little bit of healing, a little bit of speed. Oh boy, that's quite the hot opener, ladies and gentlemen. Immediately get pick. And you're gonna notice something else here too. There's no Winston here either. What is going on? Why is Smurf so late? Oh no! I know we're doing a Lucio review, but that is just too funny. Chad, he didn't have interact bound. He didn't have interact bound. Okay, Chiyo VOD review. Chiyo, surely. Okay, and then Lucio overextends. Now we can go aggressive. There's no Winston. There's nothing to deny, so we go aggressive. Unlucky. I really don't like the TP there either. I don't think you need to get your Reaper in the neutral engage as quickly as you possibly can. I don't like the TP in this meta. I really don't like the TP in this meta. Speed. Okay, let's watch carefully. Speed, a little bit of healing. He's probably more for himself. You're also going to notice as well that I promise you that Chiyo is not going to be perfect at managing his heal and his speed, because it is such a hard habit to break for many Lucios. It almost looks like here as well that Chiyo is trying to bait himself for the engage, because if he can bait himself in the engage then disengage, it's going to force a really bad neutral. Yeah, if you can force an engage on him and disengage, that's a really bad resource trade for the enemy team. But as long as he can survive, because it's not very efficient for Winston and a Reaper to be shooting a Lucio. It's much more efficient to be shooting the enemy Winston or the enemy Reaper. So right now he's able to EMP heal out. He's able to fully disengage the fight. He's playing cover. He's on heal now. They lose point cap. It's actually kind of crazy to lose point cap. Again, do you see the deny on the enemy Winston? Now we go aggressive. This is where it's just simply like good mechanics and cleaning up stuff from that. Okay. But yeah, baiting himself. You'll notice as well that like he actually did a lot of healing this fight. He actually did a lot more healing than I expected him to do. He's at like, even though they won the fight, Fielder, I feel like Fielder should already have his ult. So this is relatively earlier in this series, so I don't know if Dallas had like kind of cemented their style yet or not. But you know, obviously it's not super optimal. Okay. Beth, he's in the Beth? Yeah. He's in the closet. This one? No, our bedroom closet. Oh. Yeah. He was being just a little bit loud. Oh, no. Yeah. It's okay. I kept the light on, so he should be fine. Okay. Okay. So. Yeah, he wanted to hang out with you. It's fine.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's all right. Okay, so high ground. Nothing super fancy here, just getting scouting information. The amp is weird, to be honest with you. I think the amp is obviously off of a play call that they're looking to engage with Kitsune Rush, but obviously it ends up being just a tad early because he pulls an amp by himself. And they're not able to like quite get us in an aggressive position. We would have liked to have seen the amp just a tad bit later to actually catch the tail end of the Kitsune Rush, because this ends up being pretty kiteable if Seoul is able to play this one well. That's off the map. Amp chase. Okay, and we're out. Wait, go to Kanizaka and rate your fanning Kanizaka cats. What on earth? Okay. Again, I don't know. Okay, so he's going for some early poke, I guess for scouting information more so than anything else, like telling where they're gonna path. But he is a little late on these engages. Like these amp speeds are not exactly hitting exactly. Oh, the sensitivity on this needs to change. Oh dear. But he's not exactly hitting where he wants to be exactly. He is a little late on a lot of these engages. So, for example, like right now, he would really love to have this amp speed on this Reaper ult, and it's not there anymore, right? It ended up getting just the tail end. There's the attention on the Reaper. He's able to disengage that. That's really, really important. The beat timing, chat, is just because of the Kitsune Rush and then going in with Death Blossom. So with the Kiriko ultimate, you need to protect your Reaper, because if your Reaper can survive with Death Blossom in a Kitsune Rush, he can shut down a lot of its value, but only if he survives. If he gets immediately headshot, then obviously the value is not there. He's gonna get Suzu from, I mean, I assume this is Suzu from Fielder right here. Yeah. However, he's going to need more than that, and that's where the beat comes in. So what Fueler is essentially doing is trading a bunch of ultimates to survive the Kiriko Rush and then potentially win the fight after that because they have a man advantage. All right? So he's in aggressively with the beat. He manages to disengage the Reaper Death Blossom, which is huge. There's the Primal. Amping to survive. He should be okay. And then now we're going to see Dallas probably turn their attention, speed engage on whatever is available. Ooh, this is tricky. This is tricky. There's the amp engage. He managed to survive the enemy Sojourn ult. And they might chase this guy. Ooh, they didn't quite get him. If they got that kill, that would have been huge, but that's unfortunate. Okay, so we'll probably see another. I don't know if they can touch actually. Oh, they did touch. Probably just see an amp speed here into a Kiriko ult. There it is. He catches too much amp healing on that though, which means he's a little slow. Right, so too much healing there. When the Kiriko ult isn't as fast as we would have liked it to be. Tries to deny the touch. He's babysitting that Reaper. Stacks back with his team. Yeah, so there's some good things and some bad things. So we're seeing, obviously, the mechanics look pretty good. The wall riding looks pretty good. There's definitely an intention to have the amps stacked with a lot of these engages. The beat seemed perfectly reasonable. Denying the enemy Winston or baiting the enemy Winston Reaper engage was pretty good. The one thing that it's kind of tilting me right now is I don't think his amp usage has been as good as it could have been, because I think he's out of position oftentimes early in these engages. He's late to setting up, which means that a lot of the times his amp isn't getting as much value on the engage as it should have been. Obviously very early in the round, but definitely some good and definitely some bad things to see here. Now you have to keep in mind from what we know of the VOD review, Chiyo was also very nervous, I think, for this. I mean, he's the youngest player, right? So it makes sense. But okay, amp speed, we're out. There's a TP. Makes a little bit more sense on a map like this where getting corner control is important, and also because there's not going to be a neutral engage immediately like there is on the previous map. Isn't able to get the boop. Yeah, see, he isn't able to get the boop engage on the Winston, and that's kind of tough. So he actually goes in bubble boops. That's super risky, but he's able to get away with it. So again, it's all about booping the enemy Winston Reaper back so they do less damage, so they're not able to get done what they want to get done. Very cautious. Is it worth the amp speed and Kiriko ult? Yes, it is, because it's about remember the Kiriko ult is being placed, so you amp speed into the Kiriko ultimate to allow your team to already be in that aggressive position for the Kiriko ultimate. I think it's probably worth. Because again, you're gonna get your amp back almost immediately anyway, right? So you might as well have it to have a better setup, more proactively aggressed Kiriko ultimate than to just sit on it, right? Anyway, your ears. Oh yeah, nice. The Baptiste video. Okay, let's take a look at this again. Notice we're seeing a lot of speed here. Like you see this right here. A lot of speed, a lot of speed, a lot of speed, a lot of speed. And the reason, again, why we expect this much speed is because it's all about building that Kiriko ultimate, right? Amp speed N, boop the Reaper. That means less damage on my monkey, which means that we should have a theoretically higher chance of winning the trade. Now, again, the risk, though, and this is what we said with Lucio, it's all about denying the enemy Reaper Winston and not dying. We saw risk earlier by walking into bubble. He got away with it. This one, he goes too far. This one, he goes too far. I don't like this because Prophet is not playing aggressively enough to demand a boop. Do you see what I'm saying? So Prophet, if he were inside bubble or right here, would be not only easier to boop and more important to boop, but would require Chiyo to extend himself less to get the boop. Chiyo is overextending here. He's going way, way too far for a boop that's not that impactful. Look at Prophet, again, look at Prophet's positioning when he goes for the boop. Oh, right there was opportunity to boop, but you see he was backing off behind the corner, and Chiyo just goes. And you see by this overextension, even from Fielder as well, this causes the split. This is how Fielder dies. This is how Chiyo dies. This is a major, major overextension from Dallas. Not a good play. From what I saw his POV, he really likes to move from position to position constantly, like 2 shots before swapping corners. Yeah, it probably does. Gives him more opportunity to kind of give better information, and also makes it harder for the enemy Winston or the enemy Reaper to plan and engage that avoids him. Because remember, the enemy Winston Reapers, they don't want to get booped. They're trying to play around the boop just as much as Chiyo is trying to set up his boop. So then if you could be unpredictable with his positioning just a little bit, even in a micro way, it could be harder for them to not get booped on their engage. Why is Sparkle so late to this? I'm not too sure. I don't want to focus too much, though, on macro play, if I can. Okay. It's a good question, though. So this is going to be all about, this is like, especially when you're retaking space, it's so important to deny that enemy Winston Reaper, because they're often going to be in a position to like drop on you. So if you can kind of delay or screw up that engage or how much damage that they're doing onto your backline, it's going to be really important. So that like you can see, he's looking for that boop there. If I can boop that monkey up, he's going to be outside of his zap range for that 1 second. And that's just a 50, 100, 200 damage that I can prevent from my team by doing that one boop, right? They're trying to bait the engage as well, but they didn't get that monkey to drop. Smurf was too patient. They're going to amp out. That's going to mess up Smurf's engage. He gets peppered. Ooh, watch the shot. He survives. But see, the funny thing is about this, and again, you talked about this in Chiyo's self-review. If he absorbs this shot and lives for it, right there, you would rather have your Lucio take that shot than your Reaper or your Sojourn or your Kiriko or whatever, because Lucio could just hide. Reaper is going to get his Wraith forced, right? Kiriko might get her Suzu forced. Lucio is going to duck behind this wall here, and he's going to be okay. He probably won't take any cooldowns whatsoever, actually. And sure enough, there's no cooldowns. He does take a little bit of healing from his Kiriko, but that's pretty much it. But if you hit a body shot like that to a Reaper, Lucio is also harder to hit with that shot as well. You kind of see what I'm saying? So you can bait the shot onto yourself. Not purposefully, necessarily, but if you can play and live that, then that is a good net neutral trade for your team. He adds something to the fight by just living. Exactly, like his Reaper is very happy that he took the shot and not the Reaper, right? Much higher chance that your Reaper dies, and much higher chance that gets his Wraith force rather than just hiding behind a corner for a second, where you're doing most of what you're doing anyway. Okay, so that does mean that he is not quite set up for the engage. He tries to deny his Smurf. He doesn't quite get the boop. If he gets able to get the boop on Smurf there, Smurf goes a little bit further than he wants to, which means that he's not zapping for a crucial couple of seconds. Guys, the boop is not about booping people off the map. It's about displacing them for a meter, 2 meters, just so that they're not able to do as much damage as they like to do, which means they lose slightly more in the resource neutral trade. It's just slightly. If he boops this Winston just a little bit further, the Winston's not zapping the enemy Winston, the Winston's not zapping the enemy Reaper, the Winston's not zapping the enemy Winston bubble for about 1 second extra. He's not doing it. So that 1 second of DPS on bubble, Winston, Reaper is just 150 HP, kind of spread out. It's a very small thing, but it's something that adds up. And because your boop is available so frequently, it could be very impactful. Now, it's interesting to note here that because he misses this boop, he does not have the boop for the neutral trade, where theoretically, he could be, I mean, Sparkle dies either way, but theoretically he would have this boop available to peel off. I'm sure curious why Chiyo goes around the corner here. Or is this just to stay on the wall? Not sure. Amps out. Don't think they're going to be able to get out. I think that's a wipe. Yeah, okay. Yada, yada, yada. We keep going. Speed around underneath.
My ultimate is almost ready.
Amp speed engage. There's the Kiriko ult. They're immediately focusing that Reaper. Remember, chat, we talked about this. You focus the Reaper first to force his Wraith. If a Reaper in Kiriko ult is in Wraith, that is a disaster because that hero is not shooting. You see that? Oh, man. That right there, just Chiyo focusing down that Reaper could be the difference between winning and losing this fight. Because when you're in Kiriko Ultimate, your Reaper needs to be sandblasting the enemy team. It is by far the biggest source of damage in this ultimate, and it is now in the current. He's not going to die for it, but they're wraithing. So the one Reaper is shooting, one Reaper is not. That's it. Doesn't have his speed though. That's a tragedy. So I mean, great neutral, ult into ult, but Dynasty just has the ults. Sparkle doesn't have his. Chiyo doesn't have his. That's that simple. But it was a great play. And they should be able to win this fight off of this speed. There it is. Ooh, that's scary. That is scary. Beat turbo stomps this ult as long as you don't Ajax. There's the focus. Oh, he's panicking. He's panicking. He's panicking. Find that Reaper. Find that Sojourn. Oh, nice shots. All right, well, they pulled it out. Ult for ult. That's huge. What is he doing, man? I swear, Chiyo is a bit of a feeder sometimes. No amp. Oh, shoot, there's a Reaper there. Still on speed, right? I'm actually kind of curious why he's doing so much spam damage early on. I feel like that's just feeding the enemy Kiriko ultimate. I feel like that's, if we're focusing that hard on farming up your Kitsune rush, I do not feel like that's something that Chiyo should be doing. A little bit of scouting, sure, but not feeding, right? There's no chance of him getting a kill with that pressure, right? There's no actual pressure here. And now he's on Heal Song right now. Should he be on Heal Song? I don't think so. I don't think so. So, come on, Chiyo. Now, I'm saying this as a person coaching the Overwatch League Grand Final eventual winner. Not coaching the average Lucio player who should probably be using Heal Song a little bit more or having a better balance of speed and Heal Song given the circumstance, right? There's nothing happening right now, so it's good to be on Heal Song unless you're trying to farm up your Kiriko ultimate faster, right? They force Suzu out. Little rotation. What on earth are we doing? Oh, we're going in for fast engage. Death Blossom. Amp speed and Death Blossom. And we're amping because we know that they don't have any ultimate, so we don't need to kite anything. We're just going in. Kind of loses track though. Yeah, he loses track of the target and then he overextends. He goes in beyond where his team goes, and that's how he dies. It's interesting to note, chat, I have a question for you guys. Question for you. Why is Sparkle where he is? Because we're focusing on Lucio, right, y'all? Chiyo Lucio is great. I've heard good things about Vendame Lucio as well, right? Or am I misremembering? Either way, why do you think Sparkle is where he's at? Let's watch Vendame's POV. You see that? Uh-oh. Big play from Vendame. And that means Chiyo is overextended. And that's the round. That's it. Wow. Okay. That's a fight-winning boop. Map-winning or round-winning boop. All right, let's see what we got here. Should you always amp speed with your repulse? I think if you have it, probably yes. Makes them a lot harder to hit, gives him more flexibility with the targets that he's engaging on, so he can reach different targets, go wherever he wants to go, and it allows the rest of you and your team to actually follow up on the ultimate. So he is focused less on enabling his Winston Reaper in this neutral trade, and more on making sure that the enemy Sojourn isn't allowed to contribute, which is fair, but I'm not 100% certain that it's the best play. Oh dear. That's that. On the neutral, on the neutral, on the neutral. Pressure on Reaper if he can. Force that Wraith. Amp speed on something. Looks like they just might be rotating. I'm not sure where they're going to. This feels pretty bad for this. So this is where it feels tough for Lucio, right? Because you're kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Thankfully, the enemy team doesn't have a lot of range besides the Sojourn. But I look at this here, and it's like, he definitely feels a little lost, and so now his job is to survive. And then now, I mean, you could see it right here. You should know by now what Chiyo is going to be going for right now. This is a perfect opportunity for him to get a big boop on Prophet. Probably won't get him off the map, but at least make sure that he's backed off of Sparkle. Prophet wants to be close. Prophet is Reaper. Make sure that he is not close, so he's easy to shoot and force Wraith. So here comes the boop. Boom. Exactly what you want, right? Force to TP. Sucky, sucky, sucky. Good job. That one was relatively easy to do. Oh, nice little boop there. But, you know, you do the easy things well, you win games. Still interesting to see about the amount of spam that Chiyo is doing here. They should know at this point in time that they have a serious Kitsune Rush advantage. So I really do not like this spam. I do not like the spam from Chiyo at all. That triple headshot right there just feeds Iris like 6 or 7% ult charge. And so yes, they get the ultimate here, but this should be a much, much larger advantage than... Iris should not even be close to his hit. It should be still like 80%. What happens here? In they go, amp speed. Oh my gosh, what a boot from Vendame. Look at this, he's ready for it too. Oh my gosh, dude. Completely screws the engage. Completely screws it. So there's the Kiriko, there's the amp speed, but then it gets completely ruined. That is an unbelievable boop by Vendame. Completely shuts down the most powerful ultimate in the game. Surely they poke for a chance of a cheesy pick though. It's not worth it with Lucio. Not in this. Not when you're farm. No. Normally, yes. Normally in normal Overwatch, yes. 99.9% of the time, but not in this particular instance when you're trying not to feed ult charge and your hero has such an unbelievably low pick chance. Right? Wow. What a boop though. What a boop. Crazy that they actually still win that though. And so now it's really important that Chiyo gets his beat. Because we're going to be working with Death Blossoms, we're going to be working with Sojourn ults, in which case having a beat is nice. It's not the most important thing, but Fielder's not going to be getting his Kitsune Rush anytime soon, so there's no reason to try and farm it. Just build your ult. Build your beat. You win the next fight with beat, you do not win it with Kitsune Rush, and the goal should always be to win the next fight. So you notice how heal song heavy he is right now. You see that? Very heal song heavy. Very heal song heavy. Spam, 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 spam. He's going to get in time. Weird amp. I guess he was anticipating something that didn't end up happening. I think it was an engage. Now we have the beat. Seoul just kites out the ultimate. That sucks. We might see a beat engage with Death Blossom here, actually. Actually, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I'm not sure. They might try and play it slow. I'm not sure. Probably beat this. Yeah. Beat in. Tries to get the boop, doesn't get the boop on either the Winston or the Reaper. They counter beat, but they're in a position to kite it out. But Edison goes in too far. That is on Edison. This is Edison's fault. They know that they have beat to match, so you should not be playing aggressively. Well, okay, never mind. He wasn't playing aggressively. He just got his head blown off. So never mind. Not Edison's fault. I mean, Edison's fault, but not what I thought it was. So yeah, a really difficult fight for Dallas to play. Nothing particularly poorly played there. They just had the better ultimate game. That's it. To kill... Okay, that makes sense about the Edison with rail. Maybe so, yeah. They do play around Edison rail, which is, I think, normal. They get out. That's good. Good amp. Edison gets caught. Now... So they already have Kitsune Rush, so at this point there's no point trying to not be in heals, so you might as well just be in heals. Huh. Okay. Amp to point, Kitsune Rush and point, probably. That's a huge boop. That's a huge boop. That's a huge boop. Okay, let's move on this way. It wasn't a huge boop, but it had a close to a huge move, and it was still impactful. Because remember, it's just about displacing. Bang. He wants to land on top of Fielder to immediately force the Suzu. He doesn't. He's very late. In fact, he doesn't get to Fielder until now. So, good. Okay. Now, in the Kitsune Rush, you're probably going to see some attention put on... Ooh, I was going to say on the enemy Reaper, but the Reaper's dead. Now he just needs to live and they win. So, nice from Chiyo, but I actually think that Chiyo is not playing at the same level that I would expect the Grand Finals winner. I think she's playing okay, but I think I was more impressed with Fearless and more impressed with Fielder.
3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
From what I would expect. I don't have a Lucio to compare him to, so that might be unfair. I have not watched enough POVs to know for certain, but in my mind of what an optimal Lucio would play like, I think Chiyo is below that level where I expected Fearless to play with the optimal Winston, if that makes sense. Yeah, but he's still playing well. I think things like how much spam he's doing pre-fight, his engagement timing with his amps, I think it could be better. And then there's been a couple of silly deaths as well. Okay.
Let's get a groove on.
I'm not doing a Reaper POV, no, sadly no. I don't have the time to, unfortunately. And by the time I will have the time to, it probably, maybe, I'm not planning on it. I'm not planning on it. So he's amping not for himself here, but to try and get his team up in position to be able to meet them on this choke. So the amp is understandable. He doesn't end up getting there, nor is he in a position to actually boop the enemy Winston Reaper. So actually, Dynasty get the better of that trade, especially considering that they were rotating. I don't imagine teams will play as much for farming Kitsune Rush in this particular map because it is so chaotic and so difficult to play around. So we'll probably play him playing quote unquote more normally with his ult. Ooh, there's a taking the shot, right? Heal amp for himself and Reaper. I mean, Dallas just straight up loses this trade pretty badly. Does manage to reposition in here. Ooh, this is really scary. Not a great amp again. Like, it feels always like he's just a little early with the amp. Right? So there's the amp. He goes forward, but then the Winston Reaper are a tad late. So I think maybe I'm nitpicking a little bit here, but it always feels like the amp is just a half a second too early, right? Just a half a second too early. Denies the Winston jump. That's going to prevent some of the damage that he does. That's going to force Raid and Suzu. Damage pressure here. Ooh, he's trying to stall. He's trying to stall. They get the Kitsune Rush first. And to be honest with you, that's actually kind of suffering from success from Seoul, where Seoul legitimately does the better job with positioning there. Seoul won every single neutral trade, but it just meant that Dallas ended up getting the Kitsune Rush first. It had nothing to do with Chiyo not healing or whatever, because look at the Lucio ult charge. The Lucio ult charge is the same. The difference is the fact that Edison was doing significantly less damage than Fitz. I mean, it's really, really quite that simple. I think it's really quite that simple. So Fitz was able to put out a lot more. I mean, they actually it was a lot more than just a lot more. I mean, look at the ult charge here. Look at before they used the Kitsune Rush. Look at the gap here. 25% gap between, because his Sojourn had better positioning. But unfortunately, they're not able to quite convert that into the cap, and then they go from there. Vindane, probably the more impactful Lucio that map. The flashier plays, yes, but 2 or 3 plays where Vindane popped off doesn't necessarily mean that he was the better Lucio that map. I would have to look at his POV and weigh the other things that he was doing that compared to Chiyo, who's maybe not as flashy in some ways. I'm not saying that Chiyo's not a flashy player. I'm just saying Vindane did have more flashy plays that map. Reddit, come and post it on Twitch chat. It was on Reddit, competitive Overwatch Reddit. Okay, let's check the amp here. We'll probably see a beat engage into a primal on this. Maybe they just disengage. Ooh, they just disengage. I'm surprised Fearless didn't get blown up. So there's the amp. He gets caught. So this is the interesting thing. Look at what Chiyo does here. This comes down to, you guys remember when we were doing the Reaper VOD review the other day, where both Reapers were trying to take a flank and they ended up dueling each other because they're both going for the same play? That's kind of what we're looking at here. Look at Vindame. Vindame is going in with this engage and he's going to try and deny Fearless the position. So what Chiyo does is then Chiyo comes in to try and deny Vindame from denying him, his Winston. So actually, if you look at Vindame, I think Vindame might miss the boop. Yeah, he doesn't get the boop on Fearless. So Fearless is able to get the zaps that he wants because Chiyo boops him off of the position to get the zaps that he wants. I have no idea how Fearless survives here. I guess Seoul just kind of ignores and goes for backline. Yeah, they go for backline. They probably should have focused Fearless. I thought Fearless was going to die there. But they commit. There's the beat. He gets the fat beat around the Winston bubble. Notice he kind of moves inside and outside of Winston bubble to make sure that the duration of the beat... Because remember, beat isn't just a, let's break it down. It's a, let's break it down. It's like 3/4 of a second where it will continue to offer the beat for anybody that can accept it around a wall, through a bubble. Watch it carefully. I don't think all the targets get hit at the same time either. Let's watch really, really slowly here. Maybe it's not the case in this particular instance, but I think it's worth pointing out. Nope, everybody was around the bubble. But like, let's say Fielder or Edison were inside the bubble. Look at Chiyo. He actually moves inside the bubble briefly, just so that if anybody inside the bubble gets it, right? You can keep that in mind. It works through walls as well. There's a cast duration for beat of like a second, where anybody that is inside a bubble, outside a bubble, inside a wall, on the outside of a wall, left, right, wherever, has the opportunity to get it. Nice boop. This is a clutch boop. Look at this. He goes in hard, maybe a little too greedy. Here comes the jump, boop back. There it is. Fight winning boop right there from Chiyo. Ooh, careful Chiyo. Careful Chiyo. So there's your Chiyo cheese right there. There's your Chiyo flash. He gets split. Oh, jeez. Yeah, so we're seeing this a little bit from Chiyo. They're up one. Let's go, let's go, let's go. We're amping in. Oh shoot, they have Suzu. So this is what we call lose cons, right? This is called lose cons. This is something that London used to talk about a lot, which I think was really great. Where you have an advantage, but remember, especially without the second tank that has like the matrix of the bubble, the way of slowing things down. The enemy team can just press a Q here and kill people. Like, in other words, if Prophet was like here, 3, 2, 1, we're down 1, and he just walks in and gets Suzu and presses Q. If Dallas have used cooldowns to pursue and they don't have those cooldowns to survive, Fitz pops Q here. Chiyo has overextended. He's used his cooldown to get here. Now he's stuck. So Dynasty baits them in. Oh, look, we're weak. I'm weak. Right? And then bang. And look at this. Disaster. Dallas is out. Chiyo is stuck. Ah! And he dies for it. So, not great lose cons from Chiyo there. He needs to be more careful. You need to expect them to try and turn with Death Blossom, with Sojourner, with Kitsune Rush. You need to be ready for them to pop the Q. And he obviously knows that they have what they have there. Okay. They have the Kitsune Rush, so he can focus on healing now. Nice attentiveness to the TP. That's exactly why people don't TP in the Year of Our Lord 2022 in this matchup, because it's simply so easy to force your Wraith if you're not fighting inside your Winston bubble. Look at that. Instant Wraith. Your Reaper's useless. And Reaper dies. Surely. Messy, 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 messy fight. Oh my gosh. How does this cure go? What happens to this cure go, bro? What happens here, mates? There's a Kitsune Rush. It doesn't get amp speed because of Prophet. I actually wonder if it would have been better if Chiyo to ignore Prophet entirely and just go in with his team and to set up this. Probably better. I think the reason why he does is because he thinks the TP is really close, but the TP actually ends up being very far, so it's not a risk. So there's no reason for him to actually turn on this at all. And look at how much attention this gets while they're Kiriko ulting. Where we should have had, 5 people running this down. We've got 5 people not running this down. Everybody's turning around. Now everybody's all split. This is a disaster. And now we've got 2 people that aren't even in the Kitsune Rush. So this is a, I will say, an error from Chiyo there. We should have trusted the Kitsune Rush and just gone in and then ignored the Reaper and then healed it later as necessary. Did he need to amp to chase the Reaper TP boop? No, because he was probably amping his team for speed in the Kitsune rush first. That's why he amped. It was not necessarily for him specifically. So I think the amp was fine. I think the amount of attention given was not so fine. Given the fact that they had Kitsune rush. Do you hear me? If they'd been gone in with Death Blossom, if they'd gone in with Kitsune Rush, if they are going in aggressively, you need your Lucio to kind of follow in to enable those plays. I know that's where the tricky thing with Lucio is finding, do I need to peel off the enemy? Do I need to go in aggressively with my team? It's having the smart to know which is the right play in which situation. And given the situation, I think it would have been more important for Chiyo to help his team to get in there. Even Edison should have just shifted in there, I think. Boop doesn't hit, but it's again trying to deny that Reaper from doing damage at this crucial moment. The amp doesn't really matter. Oh, not only the amp doesn't matter. The heal doesn't really matter because he needs to probably build a beat. It does cost him their ability to kite out this ultimate though. Fearless might die. Fearless needs to get out. Yeah, the amp getting cost there kind of sucked a little bit there. That was hairier than it needed to be. But all's well that ends well, right? Okay, the amp around the corner. Notice how he's all of his attention, like whenever there isn't a more important target in a situation, the focus is always on Reaper. Always on Reaper. Any damage you can get on that Reaper is so helpful. Forces Wraith, puts pressure on him, prevents him from doing damage, win the neutral trade, right? Reaper, trying to boop him in. Oh my gosh, what was that? That was disgusting. He's trying to boop the Reaper out of the corner to force his Wraith because he's out in the open. Oh crap, you don't get out of here. It's a very risky play. But check this out, guys. So he's trying to boop the Reaper in to force his Wraith, and he's doing so within his own bubble. So theoretically, he should be safe with this wall here. But check this guys out. Check this out, guys. What am I saying? Oh my goodness. Doing that on the move? That is unreal. Crazy. Big play. So he's just going to spam a little bit. He's going to build his beat. There's no real urgency. This beat is basically already built. Alliteration. They're not going to stuff up top. They're going to let them come out. And then what we probably will see is some sort of beat for beat trade. Or even opening with a Kitsune Rush. And then maybe stacking something on top of that. So let's see what happens. They've got the Kitsune. Oh dear. Will they try and clutch it? They will. Very, very greedy. But they have Kitsune Rush and they have the Reaper, so maybe. That's really kind of tragic from Dallas, I'm not gonna lie. That's unfortunate. That's where a little bit of the NA ego kicks in, you know what I'm saying? We're like, oh, we got this, y'all, we got this. Oh no, we just blew 2 ultimates for 1. Actually, yeah, 2 ultimates for 1, and we're down 1 still. Ouchies. Ouchies. And that's it. Okay. Dying card. Unfortunate. Go next. Let us see how this... Ooh. Amp speed on the engage. There's a Kiriko ultimate. This must be a massive Death Blossom here. Has to be. There it is. Yeah, it's a massive Death Blossom. Seoul forgets their lose cons, and they're the ones that overextend too deep and go too fast. To be honest with you, Chiyo is just a total non-factor this fight because he's just trying to survive versus the Kiriko ultimate. There wasn't really anything to do there but survive. This is the best bronze play we've ever seen. I would agree with that. Okay. They got nothing, so this is just deny the Reaper, deny the Winston. GG's, man. Probably amp speed with your own primal. Amp speed, here it is. He's gonna go in aggressive, and basically, do you see how, like, when Fearless is going for backline with primal, the primary target is not the backline, because the backline has a trillion cooldowns to survive. You know who does not have a trillion cooldowns to survive? The Winston. So what he actually does is, the Chiyo is not diving with his monkey. He's letting his monkey do his own thing, because the monkey's got a primal. He's going to be fine. And then he's going to enable his Reaper to kill the enemy Winston, who's now isolated, because they're all turning on the primal. You see this? This is like a perfect encapsulation of like the ult situation. Look at the attention on the Winston, and then look at the poor Chiyo, or poor Smurf, getting booped into the middle of the rest of the enemy team. It's a 4 versus 1 and a 4 versus 1, but the one has primal and the other one doesn't. So it's over. Nice boop from Chiyo. I'm surprised. Did Smurf have jump there? Oh, he didn't quite have it in time. That's unfortunate. But yeah, nice job. We go next. So some nice plays from Chiyo. A little bit of overextension, carrying of lose cons. Hitting most of the boops that he's been needing to hit. Mispositioning, overextending a little bit sometimes, but overall, pretty solid play. Let's do this. Now this is where I imagine, because they're on the attack, well, let's actually wait and see. Is Dallas going to go for the aggressive play like Seoul was and just win the fight through positioning and then lose the Kitsune Rush? Or will they play nice and slow for Kitsune Rush? A lot of healing here, so don't really know. Let's go back a little bit. I kind of lost track of what actually happened here. There's the amp speed in. There's the attempted to boop the monkey in. So that's the funny thing. You can look at it two ways. You can either boop the monkey in, so he takes too much damage. I didn't want to go in, right? Or you could boop, or with the Reaper, by the way, same thing. Or you could boop the Winston Reaper away, so they're not doing enough. The goal is you either want to make them do more than they want to do, so then you force cooldowns and they might die, or you make them do less than they want to do. You kind of see what I'm saying? The Winston Reaper are calculating the exact corner, the exact spot where they want to set up for their engage. And if you boop them too far in, too far back, you really mess them up. That's why you see people booping them in and out. It's the same thing. You're displacing them from where they want to be to get the maximum effects to this. Oh, that Sojourn's way overextended. Forces her out. It's a good trade for Dallas because Kiriko is back really, really quick. They amp speed in, they immediately focus the monkey. He doesn't quite catch the boop. He gets like a millisecond away from booping that jump. Check this out, y'all. Oh, just a slightly too late on that boop. That would have been, the Smurf would have been instantly dead. Sparkle gets his Wraith Force, sadly. And we have, interestingly enough, seen a decent amount of speed. I don't know, it's interesting how, like, again, it feels like Fielder is somehow getting his... What is that noise? Oh my gosh. All right, loudest breaks ever. Okay, anyway, Fielder is somehow getting his ult faster. There's a great boop on Winston. That really ruins their day. That means an overextension from Vendame. How does Vendame dive? Does Vendame overextend because of the boop? Because that's where you can really dig deep. Because he's thinking we're going in, right? Nah, not really. He also booped. Yeah, not really. Not really. But a good boop from actually both Lucios here. There's the amp speed. Looking at the Reaper, right? That's always a priority target. Don't get clutched on. GG's. Yeah, that's what Moira did to him. Yeah. Huh. The Reaper, I think it's Reaper and Zarya, I think. I feel like there's another hero that have issues with that as well. Genji tends to do, when he's dashing, he tends to like lose his sword as well. There's some serious crazy replay code. Well, seriously some crazy stuff. And now Chiyo can farm the beat. In fact, he wants to farm that beat, right? Lots of healing, lots of spam, lots of damage. Look at that. Ooh, clickety, 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 clickety. Dopes. The dopes, which is the way you say it. I mean, what? Uh-oh. Right? Just a little bit of displacement on Smurf. I don't think Smurf really wanted to go in aggressively here, but a little bit of displacement, always good. We love to see it. No real risk of dying there. Amp speed on the Kiriko trade. Dallas is going to be able to keep going with beat. We might see the beat. We don't need it. There we go. Oh my gosh, just the crispy dopes. The dopamine, ladies and gentlemen. Oh! Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh! Juiced. Yeah, preemptively denying Winston jump. Exactly. And it's such a safe position too, right? Like, there's no real risk out of holding here. He's always got good cover, right? So, really nice. Not flashy, but nice. Okay. Amp speed. Ah! Beat. Focus the Reaper down. Prophet's out. That's huge. And we're going to see a Death Blossom. That might be it. Oh. Ooh, crispy, man. Crispy! Oh my gosh, the shots on a Primarily Monkey! This guy was doing like actual damage. Focus on Reaper. There's your lose cons, right? We don't lose the Reaper, we win. Nice job. Okay, some really, really impactful boops from Chiyo there. A little bit less feeding of support ult at crucial times. Good positioning. Looks good. Let's watch one more game.
Ready for
What was that notification? Save Winston and Reaper? What do you mean, what notification? It might have been the Suzu that you heard, the Kiriko Suzu. I don't know.
3, 2, 1.
Do I plan to do Reaper analysis anytime soon? I'm not streaming this Thursday, but maybe. I'm not sure. This is kind of old footage. We're already pushing the limit here of like how long this is going to be interesting for people to see, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how long Banana Rush remains relevant. Okay, now the Tracer is interesting. So, with the Tracer, you have different priorities. So, we talked a lot about the neutral frontline trade with the Reaper, right? Because that's something that you can deny too. Tracer is actually not less important for Lucio to be concerned about because you're also very good at dealing with Tracers because you're a good duelist. You don't die. Now, you have to think about like what is the Tracer going to be used for? On this particular map, probably going to be used more for dealing with cart, pushing cart. We've talked about this map before. Tracer being used for cart is really helpful, which is why you see the Tracers. It often is less of a frontline battle on this particular map. However, if things do devolve and you do see Tracers running wild, well, who are the Tracers going to be going for? Well, it's going to be going for Kiriko, without Suzu, without TP, or going to be going for a Sojourn. Lucio is really, really good at peeling that pressure off. So we will probably see Chiyo playing relatively normally, focusing more on Monkey than Tracer. But then as fights evolve, and if Prophet gets a good position, right, then he will probably put some attention on Prophet as well. So more peeling, less on your Monkey, more on your backline, more aggression on the enemy Monkey. The enemy Winston becomes more free. No. Yeah. I mean, there's you have more time to spend peeling off the enemy Monkey because you don't have to worry about Reaper. And if Prophet is stuck pushing cart, then he's probably not threatening your backline either. So you don't have to peel Tracer off. So you will probably see pressure on Tracer at some point, but we will see. Lucio and the Hog Tracer variant. Lucio and the Hog Tracer variant is more about the Lucio has to play a lot more careful. Because there's also the threat of the hook. So probably more passively, probably more about controlling off angles with your Sojourn and so on, and less about actively frontline trading because you don't have a Monkey bubble to play with and you have to worry about hook. The Hog evolution is a perfect evolution of a counter comp. It is not Hog comp is not what revolutionized the meta. What revolutionized the meta was Kiriko dive with Winston, whatever. And then what happened is then people found the best comp to beat the best comp, which was Hog. But if you were to play a spam comp or something like that versus the Hog, you would lose. The Hog comp, would lose. It is not very good versus spam. But the problem is that the Hog comp is only one swap away from a comp that would beat you. You see what I'm saying? These fights are always super messy. When there's this much of a gap between low ground and high ground in this composition, it's very messy with a hero like Lucio who doesn't have that immediate vertical mobility, right? It takes a little bit of effort. Odd amp there. There was definitely a miscommunication there. You can see he goes in, his team goes out, and then the amp is used as well. So I'm not sure if they were thinking they would push this, or if Fearless, I think Fearless got booped there, yeah. So Fearless decides to bail. Fearless decides to not go in. So that's a little bit unfortunate. There's the N. Nothing particularly flashy from Chiyo here. There's not been a whole lot of opportunity to do anything outside of just not die, I guess. Neither Lucio's had a major impact in this, with considering how crazy and vertical heavy it's been. Nothing crazy. Yeah, exactly. Hog isn't good versus Kiriko. Like, Hog isn't good versus spam. Hog is weak versus a lot of compositions, but he's really, really good versus the composition that beats all the other compositions. And I think the Kiriko synergy is definitely something that's worth mentioning as well, where he's a lot harder to counter specifically. There comes the peel boot, probably. Keeping eyes open for Tracer as well. They do have Kiriko ultimate now, so we can sit and heal Song if he wants. Here comes the amp speed with Kiriko ult. Right. 3, 2, 1. Nope. 3, 2, 1 now. There it is. Laser gun. Nice shots. A lot of shots here. I mean, really, truly mechanically, like, Chiyo is really quite good. Like, a lot of shots are landing here. Even if they're not getting kills, it's just so much extra pressure that a lot of Lucios might not be able to put out, you know? And that is definitely something worth mentioning. I also like the pulse bomb from Sparkle into the monkey there. That's such like a low-hanging fruit, a little bit of extra pressure. Beat in, they go in, there's the amp speed. Oh, they peel it off. That's actually tragic. Did he get out alive? Maybe. Nice boop on the jump. This fight's lost. Probably dying card and go next. Okay. Interesting there that on the beat engage, somehow Edison dies. So I think if we go back, let's actually go back really fast because I don't know how Edison died. Did he not get beat? He should have gotten beat on the beat engage. At the very least, they would have forced the enemy team to use beat on them. And then Edison dies later. But Edison died felt like very fast for the beat engage. So they're going to pop Sojourn ult and they're going to beat. There's the Sojourn ult. Oh, he's in bubble. He doesn't get it. He also looks like he messes up his shift. Yeah, so he doesn't want to use his shift so that they can force the enemy beat and then disengage it. That's what Dallas is trying to do, I think. I think they're trying to jump in and then be able to get out once Dynasty pops beat. But Edison screws it up. I think that's why Edison doesn't use shift there. I think he's trying to save it for when the enemy team uses beat, but he doesn't get beat, so he doesn't live long enough. And then he ends up getting his shift forced anyway. I don't think Lucio will get reworked. I would be shocked if Lucio got reworked. I don't what heroes am I mean, I think Moira, Roadhog are really low-hanging fruit. We might see something from Symmetra and Torb as well, but I think Moira and Hog are the two biggest candidates for me. And then Sombra I still feel needs a rework as well. I just feel like the hero's disabling through hack is just goofy. Bait's shot. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. Probably not. But we love to see it regardless. This is all about denying the enemy. Monkey jumped onto high ground. He's just looking for Monkey. Tracer's going to be mostly on cart, so it's not as much of his concern. That Sojourn, I think, has shot. He can definitely shoot at the Tracer if there's nothing else to shoot at. He's going back to position for the Monkey. There's the amp speed engage. Enabling his Monkey to go aggressively, pursue the Sojourn, and we go from there. Okay. How quickly these calls communicated? Very quickly. Very quickly. They'll often have a preset plan before the fight starts, but then in the heat of the moment, being able to make these adjustments, it's like instantly. But I think most teams in AL probably could do a better job communicating more efficiently. There's probably more yelling than there probably needs to be, but yeah. I mean, for support, they're confirmed they're reworking a lot of the support roster to make them more fun. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I wasn't aware of that, so I'll have to look at the article or whatever. I think Brig might be a good candidate as well, because I think that she's not as fun. Okay, we're amping out. Failed push, unfortunate. He's at a bad, really bad spot. He's able to get out. Getting kind of like stuck in Narnia here. I'm trying to see what is he looking for here. There's a Kiriko ult. He's going for the Tracer. He overshoots? I don't know. Then he gets kind of stuck in Narnia. I don't know. His impact there didn't feel super good. I felt like he got caught with his pants down.
Hi.
We're discussing targeted support. Where was the game say? Oh, interesting. I don't know then. That's interesting. Maybe it's not a rework so much as some minor adjustments to like how supports play, you know? Maybe an adjustment to the passive. I don't know. Beat. Oh, don't ajax, don't ajax. That's such a dangerous thing, you know? It's like what you're trying to do is get that beat off, but yeah, you could be one-shot so easily. Nice peel. But unfortunately, they don't really have the space to do anything with it. Like, Smurf just lives forever in the back line. Okay. Oh gosh, my head. Fun little fact, by the way, chat. If you ever see this in your replay reviewer, I'm fairly certain that even when they're dead, it's still tracking mouse movements. So if you ever see like random mouse movements, that's because the player at that point in time was moving their mouse like that on the mouse pad. You see this foolishness? And look, it translates. What? Watch. Goofy, what is this going on? And then look, hey, look, that's what he's doing, right? Fun little fact. Okay. Ooh, easy. Denies a Winston. Very risky. That was probably used, so this was all about, this was not our standard typical boop the Winston back so he can't do damage. I think this was Smurf holding an aggressive angle and knowing that he's going to want to jump out. I think he might have even tried to jump out here. Let's watch. They're going to trade in him on the Reaper. Yes, exactly what we expected. So Smurf is holding an aggressive angle. They're on the Reaper. They can blow up the monkey. Smurf is just baiting them so he can jump out and then they can crossfire on them. But Chiyo goes, hello there, right? And he completely boops engaged. Smurf is dead. Huge boop. Huge boop from Chiyo. He almost dies for it, but huge boop. So he's thinking ahead. He knows what the enemy monkeys and Reaper is going to do. Not always, but a lot of the time, and he's able to make a play from that. Yeah, fight winning boop. Fight winning. And really truly could have been map winning even because Dallas was not in a good position to win that fight ult game-wise. They were a little bit behind. This is buying them so much time that they needed. Now we're all about farming that beat. We've already got Kiriko ultimate, so there's no point saving up on the high ground. Amp speed. Pressure on Reaper. You guys see it? Reaper. Oh, Sojourn's aggressive. Let's get this guy. Oh, we missed the boop with the bubble. We try again. Now we can get her. No. Yes, we got her. Nope, she doesn't die. Huh. More focus on the Reaper. We play our life. We're able to get the Death Blossom off and get the kill under the beat. There's the beat just in time. Fearless jumps out, but that's okay. We might still be able to kill. Oh, we're a little overextended. Get out. Boop the Primal. Crazy overtime. Can he get out? Overextension. That's sad. All right. Do they cap? No, not yet. Big shots there. Forces the Wraith. And this is where we talk about mechanics, right? There's nothing fancy about this. It's just hitting your shots. Look. It's not even perfect either. Right there, just a couple of shots there, right? That was even less flashy than I thought it would be. But just right, even that right there, just that little burst, just a little bit of extra mechanics. It just forces the HP, forces the Wraith, forces the kill, you know, whatever. All right. Yeah, the APM in this here is absurd, and you can see even somebody like Chiyo is screwing up fights, right? Because it just gets to be overwhelming, and it's not so clear what you should be doing. Okay. Alright. Deny the enemy Winston. Do not let him get too much pressure. Amp speed. Careful. Ooh. Hey, but you know what? You took the Sojourn shot. And guess what your Sojourn did in the meantime? Right? Right? That's the thing. If you can't finish the kill with Sojourn, because the Lucio baited you, purposefully or not purposefully, you know, Lucio's a pretty hard target to hit. He feeds a little bit here. Alright, ahead and Kiriko by a pretty decent amount. Still on speed. Reposition. He got speed around the corner, looking. Look at that vision, right? There's no Reaper, so as soon as he turns a corner, immediately zone in that monkey. I'm gonna deny that monkey engage. Okay, now we're going in. Boop that monkey out of the bubble. Oh wow. He's gonna die for that, surely. Yeah, he does for that. That was a big pulse. He actually takes the pulse damage, looks like, even though the other one gets TP'd out of or gets Suzu'd. Ouch, that's sucky.
I'm not a fan. Hello. Digging the tunes.
So not a hot start for Dallas. Some mistakes from Chiyo in terms of sloppy, a little bit of sloppy over-aggression, a little bit of sloppy positioning, a little bit of bad luck, but also just a little bit of slop, right? Uh-oh, he gets juked by Smurf. That's not good. So they're looking to initiate very fast with Kitsune Rush, so I'll cut him some slack. But he does lose track of Smurf. He expects Smurf to be here. Smurf completely jukes him, which means Smurf gets a nice juicy engage that he should not have gotten. So Chiyo is like crap, right? Probably fine though, given the ult game. Kitsune Rush versus speed. Oh no, Iris wastes ult. That's terrible. That's terrible. Okay, so that's a cap, and that's a great ult trade for Dallas. Essentially one ultimate for 2. And no map control. Massive boop. I think he does this a couple times. I'm pretty sure we saw that in a previous series as well with him. Might try it again. There's the speed, nothing there. Yeah, here it comes. Oh, he almost got it. He almost got it. There's not a lot of risk to that either, unless the enemy Lucio boops you, because usually the enemy Sojourn won't have shot at that point in time, so there's no real one-shot opportunity. We might see a beat if they drop here. Oh my goodness gracious. A little bit of open positioning. He's got to be careful. There's the pressure on the Tracer when she's close. Almost gets pulsed. See, now the Tracer's like an actual dive threat, right? So he's going to focus that Tracer. Whereas before, the Tracer was just kind of a spectator. Everything's fine. Nice boop. All fine and dandy. No even need for a beat. Alright. Might see a beat on the Primal here, or a beat on the Sojourn ult. Probably the beat on the Sojourn ult. Hopefully he doesn't get Ajaxed. Surely he doesn't get Ajaxed. Let's see if he positions smarter on it. There it is. You see that? You see how he's positioned around that? Ahead of time, he knows it's coming, plays the corner, has the Q for it without any risk of Ajax. Again, if you guys don't know, Ajax means dying during the beat cast, because we got one shot or something. There's the pressure on the monkey. Here comes the Primal Rage. We should be able to mount this Primal relatively fast, maybe? Looks like we're going in a different direction. Dallas gets really split here. I don't know what happened. Dallas should not have lost that fight. Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The level of like decision making and quick mechanics is just crazy. It's the ADHD mindset, you know? Amp speed. Ooh, huge pulse. Kitsune Rush on point. As long as everybody can play safe, there's the attention to the Reaper now, because there's no Tracer. Yeah, this is it. Okay. Nice job. We're almost done, chat. Holy cow, this went by fast. I don't know what the plan is here. Probably to kite out an ultimate. We might see him not sitting on amp. There's the amp, yeah. I was gonna say, probably sitting on amp to kite out an ultimate. Iris way overextends with that ultimate. That's something that Shock we're really struggling with as well, if you guys remember the Grand Finals. Fearless gets split, but they get the overextension. So that's a pretty decent trade, all things considering. You'll be able to get a little bit of extra charge. He baits the shot without dying. There's the head dive, right? Knowing when you're out in the open. So you kind of, this is a tricky one where like he kind of would like to have beat here, but they're also getting like to 50% on Kitsune, so I'm not sure what the decision is going to be here. Focus on Reaper. Now we're back on Reaper, so bump. Doesn't quite get the boop, but there's the damage, so that's going to force Wraith. That's good. Nice little trade there for Dallas. Primal for a little bit of space. They isolate Prophet crucially, and they're really close to beat. Just need to survive this ult. This is it. Oh, they get the kill. Oh, okay, we're good. And die, and he died. There's the Widow. Get him. And they got him. Okay. So, a lot of really great things from Chiyo. Best thing about Chiyo was mechanics. Second best thing about Chiyo, I think, were overall the beats looked relatively good and understanding his role in the neutral. Some things that I think Chiyo needed to work on. I think Chiyo, timing of some of the amps could have been a little bit better, or being on the same page. Like there's some miscommunications or timing is miscommunicated with amps, not necessarily Chiyo's fault. I think getting split, kind of getting exposed and isolated for situations that weren't really necessarily, didn't really need to. I'm trying to think of what else was there. I think those are the two big ones there for me. The two big ones, just a little bit of sloppiness here and there, but also that's just the nature of the hero. So I think a lot of really cool things from Chiyo, and I think hope you guys learned something about like how he's shifting his priorities based on the situation of the ults, how he's going aggressive when there's not threats on his team, and when there are threats, he's able to direct his attention towards what's the most impactful thing I can be doing. Is that shooting the Reaper? Is that denying the instant from going out? Are we going aggressive? Okay, then I want to be going aggressive. Are we playing kind of safe? In which case I need to be kind of booping the Winston and Reaper away, kind of keeping them at arm's length. And you guys could see it. Like we talked about that with booping the Winston in, you're displacing him. If you're booping the Winston out, you're displacing him. You're just making it not do what he wants to do. And you can apply that to a lot of situations here where whether the enemy team wants to go aggressively or not, if you make them go more aggressive than they want to by booping them in, or by going more defensively than they want to by booping them out, you're denying them from what they want to do. There's a lot of nuance to this, and so it doesn't really do it justice to give it only the 3 maps, but that's all I've got for now, so I hope you guys learn something from that. I will say, especially with stuff like farming the ults and things like that, that is definitely more situational ultimate specific. Like we talk about Kitsune Rushes just being overwhelmingly strong, and the ultimate grand finals comes down to, and really just playoffs in general come down to which team is going to be able to farm that ultimate more efficiently, and that's Dallas are winning a lot of fights off of that. That is not necessarily something that you guys need to or even should try and replicate in all of your Overwatch games. It's just something to be aware of, why he's spending as much speed as he is. And maybe it's something that you can apply here and there, but I definitely think that there's more nuance to it than just that. But yeah, I think like you said, like the ADHD, like being able to track a trillion things at the same time, being able to make these split-second decisions is really, truly, really unbelievable. And I think that's like what separates these great Lucio players from everybody else. That, and honestly the mechanics, like you hit more shots, you're going to force more wraiths. Even if you don't get the kill, you're going to get yourself a cooldown advantage, that you're going to win the fight off of space. Like hitting shots makes more space means more team fight wins because your team has more space, right? And then obviously where you're hitting your shots as well. Like there was boops on Monkey, but notice the damage was more spent on Reapers, right? Or overextending Sojourns. Like that was the big thing for, right? It's like the boop and the Monkey was very helpful, but it's more important for you to actually get the damage done on the Reaper, because that's where your actual shots are going to be more impactful. Whereas, shots on Winston, kind of a drop in the ocean, right? Not as like significantly impactful, if that makes any sense. Will Lucio ever drop in the meta? He just seems so valuable. I mean, I definitely think so. I mean, if we see the meta slow down to something more ranged oriented, then yeah, yes, we will. Absolutely, 100%. It's just going to depend on the meta and the situation. Lucio just so happens to be an absolutely phenomenal short range hero, or a great hero when you're playing short range heroes, because he's going to enable those short range heroes to close the gap. So yeah, I think like he just meshes really well with the heroes that we're seeing being played. But I don't necessarily think that he's going to be hard meta permanently 24/7 all the time. It's just the situation that we're in, that's all.